The Xbox Series X and Series S came out in November of 2020. In November of this year, those consoles will be 4 years old. The generation is halfway through, assuming it lasts 8 years like the previous generation. And it's kind of hard to believe. It only feels like this generation has only just gotten started. There are barely any exclusives for the Xbox and PlayStation this generation. Only being I think close to 20 exclusives to the PS5, and the Xbox functionally having no exclusives because they're either also available on PC or going to eventually make their way to PlayStation, because Xbox just as a company is deciding, you know what? Who needs console exclusives? Which I somewhat understand, especially coming from their, third place positioning at the moment. But I was a massive Xbox fan. I had the Xbox 360. I grew up with an original Xbox, and I got the Xbox One when that came out. So, is this current generation of Xbox still worth it 4 years later? What features does the Xbox offer today that might make it a compelling purchase? Xbox this generation doesn't have any standout features outside of pushing higher FPS games, which is great. Compared to the PlayStation 5, the Xbox has far more games that support higher refresh rates. Granted, some of them are at 1080p or 1440p, but that's awesome. Most people's TVs don't even support higher refresh rates, but for me, having a high refresh rate isn't necessarily about the smoothness, but it's perceived latency. So whether or not my display can actually handle 120 Hz doesn't really matter, as long as my inputs are being received faster. In both the Xbox Series X and Series S support high refresh rate gaming. Some of them might not work on the Series S, but that's fine. For the most part, though, they do work quite universally on both consoles. It just might be at a lower resolution on the Series S. The Series S is a very interesting choice for a lot of people. The Series S is the same price as an original Switch, and $50 cheaper than a Nintendo Switch OLED. And for that, you get a huge amount of performance and a very compelling experience overall. Being able to play all the same games that the Series X can, and play almost all the same games at high refresh rates or at higher qualities, but it's limited to a max resolution of 1440p, which in all honesty, if you're connecting this to a monitor, 1440p is almost the perfect resolution because it offers a nice upgrade over 1080p while being substantially cheaper than 4K. I was able to pick up a 1440p 165Hz monitor from Best Buy for $120. And yes, the monitor does not support HDMI 2.1, but it doesn't have to. HDMI 2.0 can fully do 1440p 120Hz without any issue. It's a great experience. And being able to buy any standard gaming monitor is awesome. And you can even use stuff like AMD FreeSync or FreeSync Premium, and it works just fine. You don't need to buy an HDMI 2.1 monitor to realistically enjoy a lot of these high refresh rate experiences on these consoles. But I understand not everybody is buying these consoles and connecting them to a gaming monitor. They're more likely going to connect this to a TV that's probably, and they're going to be 4K, because I can't really see any 1440p TVs coming out anytime soon or ever. And most of those TVs will probably end up being 4K 60Hz panels, because HDMI 2.1 TVs are kind of expensive still and not practical for anybody who's buying this, because they won't be buying a new TV just to take advantage of their new, Call of Duty box. This Series X also has some of its own very compelling features. Backwards compatibility is phenomenal. Being able to take an original Xbox game and put it into my brand new Xbox and it just works is amazing. Granted, not every single game would work, but Xbox is constantly updating and trying to make every Xbox original game work on the Series X. That will take time, but it's very awesome to see Microsoft taking this step to allow people to play all their games on their Xbox. Granted though, that feature also isn't necessarily exclusive to the Series X. You can play original Xbox games on an original Xbox One or an Xbox One X or whatever you could possibly want. Don't get me wrong, I love both these new Xboxes, but I really like the Series S. That $300 price point is killer, and its size is amazing. I'm a child of divorced parents, and being able to easily tote my consoles around was very important for me. And the Switch was a dramatic next level step in that portability-ness. But whenever I wanted to take my Xbox with me, I would have to bring an entire second backpack to school dedicated to carrying my Xbox. Because when I got picked up by my mom or my dad to go to the other parent's house, they wouldn't want to go to the other parent's house on the other side of town just for me to get my Xbox. So I had to bring my entire original Xbox One with me when I went to school on Monday. So that was a huge pain in my ass. And if I had something like the Series S back in the day, it would have drastically saved my back, and it would have been much easier to tote around. I probably wouldn't have to need to bring an entire second backpack just for an Xbox. Also, just that $300 price point, like I mentioned before, is killer. It's an amazing deal, especially if you can get one open box for less than $300. I saw in Best Buy right now, you can pick up an open box Series S for $220. That is $80 cheaper and $20 more expensive than a Nintendo Switch Lite. And you can still activate developer mode on these things to download unsigned code that will allow you to install a bunch of emulators on this thing. It's so cool and so portable. I've seen people even add battery attachments and get one of those screen attachments to this thing to make it like a gaming laptop in a way. It's a very interesting device, and it's very cool to see Microsoft release this kind of a console. And something that I find incredibly interesting that Microsoft is doing this generation is not releasing a mid-generation refresh. Like, think of your PlayStation 5 Pros, your Xbox One X's. Something to really boost the power in, without having to do a whole new console generation. Microsoft said themselves that the Series X is that mid-generation boost in power. If you want more power, just buy that. If you're sticking with the Series S, you're still also going to be enjoying all the same exact features and play all the same games. And I feel like that is a very interesting way to handle this, because strictly speaking, on a pure technical level, the Xbox Series X is the most powerful console out right now. That still remains to be seen when the PS5 Pro eventually releases. It's a very interesting strategy that Microsoft is going for, especially with now them being quite famously not selling very many Xboxes this generation, and how also Phil Spencer said on a podcast that quite famously they lost the most important generation, i.e. being the Xbox One and PS4 generation, which I do agree, that was a disastrous launch. But what Microsoft has failed at achieving in the high-end game console space, I feel like they're doing really interesting things with the Series S. Granted, it's not very flashy, it's not very cool, it's not very Xbox, but the Series S is a very interesting console. And I think if you were to buy an Xbox, the whole premise of this video, is the Xbox still worth it in 2024? And I'd say yes, the Xbox is still very much worth it in 2024, but probably not the Series X. The Series X specifically isn't necessarily the most compelling value, but it only really matters if you have a huge collection of Xbox One games and if you have to maintain physical libraries of games. If you don't mind going pure digital, or if you already have gone all digital and you need an Xbox, the Series S to me is the perfect choice. But whether or not how it compares to the PS5 is saved for a different video. But the Xbox as it's a singular console, how it stands today, I feel like the Xbox is great for the money. It's not necessarily the best option out there. If you wanted the best gaming performance, you'd just buy a PC. If you wanted to have the best exclusives, you just buy a PS5. But if you just wanted pure distilled gaming in its cheapest form, having amazing performance per dollar, and you don't like the idea of having to build or find or spend a lot of money on a gaming PC, the Xbox Series S is, I would say, probably the best value in gaming, especially if you don't care about having physical media being an option for you, or if you really just want to save a lot of money, it's the best choice out there. But what do you guys think? Do you have an Xbox Series S and are you enjoying it? Has this video made you reconsider the option of buying a Series S? I would love to hear what you guys think down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the other social media garbage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.